And now, an Envision Financial podcast with Luke Smith on Canberra's 2CC.
I can't believe it's 2025 already. How about that?
I know, we just blinked and here we are again.
Here we are. I mean, what was it, 3 weeks ago or something? We did a program together, and then I went off on holidays and you went off and did your thing, and here we are back again. It's a whole different year, and I know we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions because that's what people do, isn't it? They make resolutions. Now, there are two big resolutions that people make.
Yep.
Number one, I'm going to get more healthy. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to exercise more. I'm going to do all that. Number two, I'm going to manage my money better.
You reckon?
Now, well, I think that's one of the things people do like to resolve around New Year, don't you think? Or do you think other things get more attention?
Look, I think it's, if you had a top five, I think it'd be in there. But I think people need to manage the way that they do that. And I think that's really what I want people to take from today is having a New Year's resolution or a plan of any form is important. But I think, like anything, I see people leap into an extreme instantly.
Yeah.
And if they can take from today that, like any extreme, one of the girls will come in the office and go, I'm going to drink lemon water for 3 weeks and I'm going to lose, whatever. After about the fourth day, you want to choke her to death, There's an extreme example. And I think we just need to moderate how we set those expectations and then how we go about maintaining them and checking in on your ability to adhere to them and live up to them. Because I think it's a wonderful idea. It's not going anywhere, so we might as well use it to our advantage. And I was only listening to something today, and they made a point of saying that if you try to not do something, you're less inclined to think about it or act on it than you are to actively have a positive change in behaviour. And I think that's what I want people to take. Let's look for a positive change of behaviour that is sustainable. If you go into the gym and say, right, I'm going to lose 100 kilos, I'm going to lose 50 kilos. After the first 2 or 3 months, if you haven't lost what you believe is an appropriate amount of weight, you become disenfranchised.
It's funny, isn't it? It's the same advice, whether you're dealing with health matters and you're losing weight and so forth. And it's the same advice if you're trying to improve your financial well-being. Set realistic goals.
100%.
And do something that is sustainable in the long term, not something that's meant to be a quick fix.
Yeah, and I think people get very wrapped up from that social pressure or that social expectation of what their friends are doing as well. So if you're going to set something, make it realistic and build up to it. And if I go back to that gym analogy, nobody goes into the gym first day and puts 150 kilos on a bench press and smacks out 12 sets and goes, oh, that was easy. You do 2 and then, probably choke yourself to death and someone's going to have to run over and save you.
Yeah, 150 is a bit ambitious.
But if you start with 60 or 70 and then progressively work up over time, this is no different. But for some reason, people seem to disconnect it and come in, sit in my office and go, I'm going to save 50% of my after-tax income into this. Righto. How long's that going to last?
Yeah.
Because then the dishwasher blows up. One of your kids needs braces. You smash the car. You've got a change in some sort of tax. Something changes and you've got to pay for something. I think people just need to turn around and start something small.
I think you've said in the past something along the lines of do a little something a little sooner or something like that. That's good advice because small steps taken repeatedly and consistently can actually add up to a big journey.
100%. And I think this is where people just need to use that analogy of, just keep stacking days and then you're stacking weeks, then you're stacking months. And I think if you make a choice to say, right, I'm going to be a better saver this year. Don't save it into a bank account. And we've said on many shows, go to a Vanguard, go to a Raise, go to a Starship, go somewhere where you can automate the investment of money into a risk option that is suitable for you and leave it alone. Just let it cook. Now, you can open these things with $10. You can open a Vanguard account with, I think, $200. And you can add something to it progressively. And if you take nothing from this show, take that compounding interest is wonderfully, wonderfully powerful. and you only compound something by adding to it over time and using time.
That's right. We talk about compounding, and it's I guess in some respects, interest is an example of that. But it applies to any kind of investment. If you've got a share portfolio, you're getting dividends back from that share portfolio. But the thing to compound your investment is you need to reinvest those dividends to help grow the capital in the first place.
Yeah, and I find people don't start doing something because they come in, sit down, and go, "Oh, I don't have a spare 10 grand." Who said you needed 10 grand? Oh, I don't have a spare 5 grand. Who said you needed 5 grand? Your mates. I'm pretty sure no one's...
No, look, it just sounds good, look. It sounds, look, 10 grand. It sounds like a good amount to invest,
and that's my point.
doesn't it?
If you started something with $500,
yeah.
and I say this to every parent should be doing something proactively from a compounding perspective for their children, and you will change their life. And it doesn't sound like a lot. And we did a show on it last year about that you can accidentally set your kids up by just having good, consistent behaviours with a little bit of money. Open something, put something into it, and leave it alone. If you're a little bit older and you have the ability and the time frame to add to super because you might be, looking at retirement on the horizon, use superannuation as a savings vehicle if you haven't in the past. Just go to your employer, salary sacrifice a little something. You don't have to put in everything that you can get up to the limit. If you can, great. But if you can't, just a little something, a little sooner, and put it into... You're getting a bit of a tax benefit. That's an added benefit of doing super. Now, I'd advocate that for older people. Again, I don't think, 18-year-old kids need to be smashing money into superannuation. If you're going to save outside of super with the same premise.
Yep.
At least you've got access to it. Now, you can put money into super at 18 because there'll be people listening that go, that's not right, blah, blah, blah. Nothing's perfect for everybody. But you have to come back and say, what are my priorities? Do I want access to it or not? But start something in a vehicle that works for you.
Yeah,
if it's super great, if it's your own name great, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And long term, of course, superannuation is a really attractive investment. Yes. But there are so many other options as well. You can make investments outside of superannuation,
Correct.
and they may be more appropriate for your circumstances, depending on what your intentions might be. I know in the past we've also spoken quite a lot about so-called micro investments, and that's a way of getting started, even if you don't have a lot of money available to begin with.
Correct. That's where like one of these apps, like a Raise or one of those, comes in, and there's loads of them out there. That's just an example, because I've always needed to find a solution for clients that say, "Oh, I've just had my first grandchild. I'm going to put $1,000 in the bank." Well, don't do that.
No, the bank will take it.
Put it into something that
bank will take it all out in fees.
Exactly. Put it into something that at least has the ability to grow, and then you can throw, $50 a month into it for your grandchild.
Yeah.
And then when they're bigger, they can take it over, and you'll blink and 25 years has gone past, and there's tens of thousands of dollars in there that can change somebody's life.
On an even smaller scale, though, there are these apps that will allow you to conduct transactions, and every time you pay a round number for something that's not quite a round number, the change will just be invested for you. Instead of, if you buy something for $49.95, the app will invest the 5 cents when you pay $50.
Yeah.
And now it doesn't sound like much, but it all adds up over time.
And that's right. And that's one of those features of that Raise example that I gave. You can set up a regular direct debit and add to it. But as you say, it rounds any transaction to the next full dollar and puts that into your portfolio. And if you have an even dollar transaction, like a $500 payment, they put $1 in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, wonderful way of automating, of leaving alone, of compounding, and letting the technology work for you. And all you want to do during the year is start with something and say, right, can I do $50 a month? And if you find you're still saving a lot and you've had a promotion or you've had a bonus or your rent's dropped or interest rates fall, great. Can I make it $60? Can I make it $70? You don't need to be going out and changing all the underlying investments and doing all sorts of other things that just either cost you more time or fees. Just pick some good ETFs, add to them regularly, and leave it alone. But you've got to start somewhere.
Indeed. And I guess one of the big temptations for people, especially younger people starting out, is that when you start to enjoy an income, the temptation is to spend it all because you're going to get another packet next week and another pay packet the week after that. And so it goes. But the biggest and most important lesson that we can all learn is to put a little bit aside every time we get any income.
Well, exactly. And if you can't save earning 70,000, you're definitely not going to save earning 150.
Yeah.
Because that premise, and you come in and people try and feed it to me all the time. Oh, Luke, I work so hard. I so deserve it. Oh, no, you don't. You really don't.
Now, don't be too harsh.
No. And again, I premise that. Don't slam your brakes on and get all emotional. But I'm also a big advocate of, if you're going to stick to something, reward yourself.
Yeah.
Stay engaged with the process. And that's why I say, like that gym analogy, don't say, right, I'm going to save $10,000 this year, and by March you've lost interest because uncontrollable events have occurred. What could I save in the next 4 weeks? What could I save in the next 3 months? And if you hit that, then have a night out. Go and buy something you like. Go and buy yourself a new driver.
Yeah. Just so long as you don't blow the whole lot.
Correct. But you need to stay engaged. And see, because the payback going to the gym is a weight loss.
Yeah.
Or the weight going up.
Or the increased fitness and strength.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's it. If the weight goes up, then you're getting stronger. Then you stay engaged and you want to get stronger. If you're losing some weight, you want to lose more weight.
Yeah.
If you can save and see a return accrue from your investments, it keeps you engaged, which is wonderful. But don't be disenfranchised by things that are out of your control. They're going to happen. And that's why I say, if you save a little bit, you can still maintain your lifestyle. You don't have to go and start eating beans and living in a tent. Not by any stretch. Just a little something, a little sooner.
The other suggestion you've made is make sure you've got the whole family on board.
Yes.
Because if you're living in a family unit, or even if you're just a couple,
yep,
it's very difficult to achieve goals if you're not both rowing in the same direction.
100%. I think if you both become a team and you're both working forwards into something, and again, having never been a smoker, I could imagine it would be like one partner decides to stop smoking while the other one is. Or one's on a diet and the other one isn't. Like it's not sustainable from an environmental perspective. I think you need to make positive choices to reinforce new behaviours over trying to not do something, because I don't think anyone has the willpower to withhold something from ourselves without something being redirected into another area. And I think that active saving and seeing the balance go up and seeing returns be strong, I think it's a very motivating way of also then passing great knowledge to your children, because then your children learn about savings, your children become invested, your children have maybe an account for themselves.
Yep.
And they start really early, which is the best thing someone can do, because then you're instilling as a parent wonderful values in the next generation. And I think as a parent of two little girls, if I can get them to an age where they're a normal child and they're a well-adjusted member of the community and they're financially literate, job done. You know, I think every parent has the ability to pass on great knowledge.
And a responsibility to do so as well. Luke Smith from Envision Financial is with me in the studio till 11 minutes to 5. We'll be back with more in a moment. It's about 7 minutes to 5. Luke Smith from Envision Financial is with me in the studio, and today we're talking about our New Year's resolutions, our New Year's financial resolutions for 2025.
Yes.
So, Luke, what are the key strategy tips for people to remember when planning the year ahead?
Yeah, look, I think the first one is be realistic. As we said before the ad break, if you go neck deep in trying to save every penny and change the way you live, you'll become disenfranchised, or your partner will get annoyed with you very, very quickly. So, get them on board, get the family on board. It's great from an education perspective for the kids. They can learn about what we're trying to do and make them part of it. It's then about making sure that you set some realistic expectations. Can you do something over 4 weeks? Can you do something over a quarter? Don't just leap to, we're going to go for this much by December. Have a shorter duration and then try and hit some targets and some goals. And if you do, then review those goals and increase them so that there should be a little bit of pain. I'm not saying a lot of pain, but you need to be able to make some conscious decisions to say it's going there over here, because nothing that was easy people actually enjoyed or made sustainable. There needs to be a little bit of engagement, a little bit of consequence. It's like if you pay your house off, pay off a mortgage off, people come in, oh, I've paid my mortgage off. Okay, so you can save that money, and 12 months later they haven't, because they removed the consequence. So use technology, use apps, use the micro investing options, use good providers like Vanguard and Beta Shares and the tools that are out there for you to have a retail platform. Remember that it's a marathon, not a sprint. Start something over not starting for a larger amount later, because you'll probably never find it. So start small, save small, automate it, let it cook, leave it alone. And at the same time, given we're sort of finishing a holiday period, look at your bills, look at your costs, look where you could maybe get rid of 2 of those streaming services of the 5 you've got, even though you sit there and look for something to watch on all of them. And then take the money that was going to those streaming services, for example, and direct them into your little micro investing app. It doesn't mean a lot, but as we said in our show last year, that compounding benefit of adding over time, over not adding something, is astronomically different over an extended period of time, and you're robbing yourself of a wonderful opportunity to help yourself. For the older people out there, or people approaching retirement, maybe look to save into super first over something in your own name, because you'll get the added benefit of the tax saving and your duration to being able to get your money, i.e. I'm not far from 60. It's still a very useful operation, because you can get a tax benefit and you've got access to it in a few years, as opposed to saying that to an 18-year-old that can't get it for decades. So pick a structure that's right for you, pick a risk option that's available for you, and if the market comes off, don't get upset. Be excited, because now you're investing and buying more units in what you've got at a lower price. So when the price recovers, you make even more money. So don't stop your dollar cost averaging, or your monthly saving amount, weekly saving amount. Don't turn it off because markets get weak. If anything, if markets get weak, you want to ramp it up, because you're buying more good stuff at a cheaper price to really exacerbate that rate of return when markets return to normal.
Indeed. So, Luke, where can listeners get more information?
Yeah, office number 62604749. We've got envisionfinancial.com.au on the internet, where we've got all of our previous shows on our resource centre. We've got the podcast, The Strategy Stacker, Luke Talks Money on iTunes and Spotify. We've got all of our shows on a YouTube channel, Envision Financial Canberra. So if you have liked the content and you want to watch it on there, all of our library of shows are there. That helps us then look to potentially bring on some bigger guests this year, which would be great. And all of these sorts of strategies are in Smart Money Strategy, your ultimate guide to financial planning, which, great book for you, great book for your kids.
Indeed, available at all good bookstores and some of the bad ones as well.
Correct.
Luke Smith, thanks very much.
See you next week.
Catch you again next week. Luke Smith from Envision Financial, back again at the same time next Friday afternoon, right here on 2CC.